Good morning, beloveds. Foster is in the window very excited about something, so you may get to hear him talking. I don't know. He's a little skittish, so we'll see. It is December 31st. There's definitely a front run rolling in over the next couple of days. I see the clouds coming. I was trying to catch the sunrise this morning, and I could see it, but by the time I got around to where it's fairly clear horizon, you could see the line of cloud coming in. So I don't know. Looks like the rain's gonna roll in around 4:30 today. Or 4 o'clock. Okay. It is December 31st. We are about to close out this year. Will remind you, I started this in March, so I'm going to go ahead and continue through into the March until whatever day it was that I picked it up, and then I'll pick something else up. So that I have done the whole book. Because I've gotten a whole lot out of it doing it this way, so more out of it than just reading it to myself. Okay, December 31st, I know that every apparent death is resurrection. Therefore, I gladly die to everything that is unlike good. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And if you didn't know, that is Psalm 23:4. Unhappy is he who mistakes the branch for the tree, the shadow for the substance. The Talmud. We are taught that we must gain a knowledge of that which cannot pass away. The Talmud says that unhappy conditions arise when we mistake the shadow for the substance. Even the valley of the shadow of death causes no fear when we arrive at the consciousness of the psalmist, who, from the exaltation of his divine deliverance, proclaimed, Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The rod and the staff of truth is the realization of substantiality and the permanence of that which cannot change. We are ever renewed by the passage of the divine light through our consciousness. Behold, I make all things new. The revitalizing regenerative power of the Spirit flows from the consciousness of wholeness into our physical organism and into every objective act. When we give the realization of the divine presence free passage through our thought, Emerson tells us that in these moments we are conscious that we are isolated beings. Okay. Emerson tells us that in these moments we are conscious that we, as isolated beings, are nothing, but that the light is all. Thus he admonishes us to get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuit. How wonderful to realize this possibility to which he refers. Non-resistant and non-burden. Let us then learn to let the burden slip from the shoulders of personal responsibility and to enter into our divine union with enthusiasm. I know that every apparent death is a resurrection. Therefore, gladly today I die to everything that is unlike the good. Joyfully I am resurrected into that which is beautiful, enduring, and true. Silently I pass from less to more, from isolation to inclusion, from separateness into oneness. And that bird noise that you keep hearing is a cat toy. It's a cat toy that was gifted to my cats from somebody else. So that's what that is. All right. Wow, I don't know, today. I mean, it's the second to the last day of the year, and we're going to talk about, but I mean, really honestly, it's the second to the last day of the year. We've got one more day this year. And then 2020 dies to make way for 2021. And this is definitely a year that all of us are going to be willing to let go of. We're not going to hold on to this year. So, and if you've read anything about Ernest Holmes's, or know anything about Ernest Holmes's ideas when it comes to death, he's like, it's Narnia. Onward and upward. There's more to life than this. That's why I know that every apparent death is a resurrection. It's just a resurrection into another form, another opening of consciousness. Therefore, I gladly die to everything that is unlike good. That's the meaning of baptism. The baptism is a resurrection where you are washing away anything that is not Christ-like, God-like, good-like. And it is the willingness to let go of. Okay. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Okay, that's a shepherd, a rod and a staff. And a shepherd's role is to get sheep from one place to another safely. So that is God's job, to get us from one place to another safely. But we have to be willing to go wherever it is. Unhappy is he who mistakes the branch for the tree, the shadow for the substance. That from the Talmud. If you've ever read The Cave by Socrates, that's kind of the idea here. It's like living life. Too often we're watching the shadows on the wall of the cave, not what's actually making the shadows. We want to turn around and look at the source. We want to turn around and look at the light and see what's actually going on. And then we would see more clearly. Ooh, okay, so we are taught we must gain a knowledge of that which cannot pass away. Lay up treasures in heaven where rust cannot get to them. The Talmud says that that unhappy conditions arise when we mistake shadow for substance. And the Buddhists would tell you that unhappy conditions arise when we're attached to the little reality instead of the big reality. Even the valley of the shadow of death causes no fear when we arrive at the consciousness of the psalmist, who, from the exaltation of his divine deliverance, proclaimed, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." The rod and the staff of truth is the realization that this word is separated from one line to the next. And I suspect Ernest makes words up. Substantiality and the permanence of that which cannot change. The nature of God cannot change. And that's the truth. And that is the truth that should comfort us. It doesn't matter what we tell each other about God. It doesn't matter the thousands of years of interpretation of God. The nature of God cannot change. All right. We are ever renewed by the passage of the divine light through our consciousness. We are ever renewed by the passage of the divine light through our consciousness. When we let that divine light into our consciousness and through our consciousness, it lights up all of the good, and it also shows us all of the shadows. Shadows are not bad. Shadows merely say, okay, these are things that we may have been neglecting that we need to work on, or these are gifts that we have neglected that we have to give. It also, the divine light can also show places in our consciousness that need to be mended. So when we let the divine light in, we're renewed because we see things that we didn't see before, or we can see things that we didn't see before. Behold, I make all things new. That is in quotes. The revitalizing, regenerative power of spirit flows from the consciousness of wholeness into our physical organism. That's another thing. When we go back to that divine light, the divine presence, the divine idea, the divine blueprint of who we are, that's wholeness. And you can see when we let that divine, we go back and look at the blueprints and we go, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be able to do that. So it brings to light things that maybe we had been neglecting, or maybe things that we had forgotten about that we are wonderfully capable of. And into every objective act, when we give the realization of the divine presence free passage through our thought, meaning when we get out of our own way. When we get out of our own way. Emerson tells us that in these moments we are conscious that we as isolated beings are nothing. Okay, Emerson is... We all have a relationship with Emerson, and mine is... Yeah. Honestly, when I first read Emerson, I hated Emerson. And then I read a lot of other metaphysical stuff and went, okay, I kind of get it now, and I don't dislike Emerson anymore. I'm not sure I'm ever going to get to the place where I like Emerson, but, or maybe I'll love, yeah. Reverend Jesse, on the other hand, loves Emerson. So, but at least now the bloated nothingness makes sense. Get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuit is because we have to realize that the isolated being that we think we are doesn't exist. We are connected. And we are connected in the divine through the divine. So really, that isolated being that we think we are doesn't exist. We are part of the divine circuit. How wonderful to realize this possibility to which he refers, non-resistance and non-burden. Let us then learn to let the burden slip from the shoulders of personal responsibility and enter into our divine union with enthusiasm. Which, when you think about what we teach in Science of Mind, is kind of ironic. Because we do teach personal responsibility. We teach that you have the power to change your life. We teach that you have a responsibility to manage your consciousness. And then right here, Emerson is saying, yeah, but the power is not a personal responsibility. The power to do this is not a personal responsibility. That's coming from an inexhaustible source that's greater than we are. So the power is not our burden. The how is not our burden. The means is not our burden. It's not our... We don't... And when we walk into that non-resistance, when we walk away from resistance and allow the power to flow through us, then our only responsibility is to use it wisely. Which, if you do in the nature of the divine, creation, love, harmony, peace, joy. I feel like there's two more words that he likes to use that I don't remember at the moment, but you will always use it well. I know that every apparent death is a resurrection. Therefore, gladly today, I die to everything that is unlike the good. Joyfully, I am resurrected into that which is beautiful, enduring, and true. And here's the thing. You can be resurrected every day. Every day. Because if you make it, it's a recommitment. That's exactly what it is. It's like, okay, I've made a mistake. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that part of me that made that mistake, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that die. And I'm going to resurrect into my divine inheritance. And you can do it every day. It's simply a recommitment to the divine circuit, the divine power, the divine reality, to the good. Joyfully I am resurrected into that which is beautiful, enduring, and true. Silently I pass from less to more, from isolation to inclusion, from separateness, from separation into oneness. So that last sentence tells you what we are letting die. We are letting less die, isolation die, separation die. And we are resurrecting into more, inclusion, oneness. Well, alrighty then. And tomorrow is not a lesson. Tomorrow is not a lesson. Tomorrow is a prayer. It is a prayer to end the year. So I will see you tomorrow for that. But before then, I'm going to encourage you, as I always do, to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, as I do every day. And I apologize for my phone being so busy. I forgot to turn it off. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you that you live in heaven now, because you are a beloved child of God in whom spirit is well pleased. This is the state of grace that we live in. There is nothing outside of God. God cannot and will not judge us. But God will always love us. The Spirit will always love us, because we are made from that substance of spirit. Okay. Oh yeah. I still have a couple of days left to work this week. I'm going to move into the process of my day. I'm going to remind you that Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. today. And then I will be back with you at 9 a.m. tomorrow for that prayer. I'm very excited about it. Do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day. And prepare to let 2020 go. Whatever it takes to let this year go. I believe I need to go back and check the email, but I think at 7 p.m. on the 31st, Reverend Deborah is going to do her traditional burning bowl on Zoom. So if you are interested in that, go check your email. Grab the link and email who you need to email to get that Zoom link to join in that burning bowl. All right, because that's a great way to let 2020 go. All right, beloveds, have a wonderful day.